Yo guys, this is my Abyss guide, and in this guide I'm going to be showing you how to train each of your combat styles in the Abyss. So we're going to start off with melee, and these are the armors that I highly recommend taking. You can take any melee Barrow's armor, Bando's armor, or Anima Core of Zaros armor. I really don't recommend anything else or anything higher at the Abyss, because you'll probably have to pay a lot of money to repair the items, and the stats that you get from them just really aren't required at the Abyss. These are the weapons that I highly recommend taking. Either a Crystal Halberd, a attuned Crystal Halberd, a Dragon Rider Lance, or a Noxious Scythe. As you can probably tell, these are all two-handers, and this is required if you want to gain a lot of XP per hour at the Abyss. Obviously, the better weapon that you use, the more XP per hour you should expect to gain, so just use whichever one you can afford, and you can probably actually drop down to like a Dragon Halberd, but I'd highly recommend taking a Crystal Halberd as the minimum. So this is the inventory and gear I recommend taking. As you can see, I have a few overload flasks. If you don't have overloads, just use the best stat boosting potion that you can use. You really only need the super restores that I have in my inventory if you have Soul Split, and you should always take some food just in case. As for the gear, I'm wearing the armor I recommended earlier. I'm using Bandos as it's fairly cheap and doesn't degrade, and basically you just want to wear whatever you can in your other slots, and you should definitely wear a Charming Imp if you have one, because these actually drop a lot of charms. And also, if you can get your hands on a Blood Amulet of Fury, that would be great, because this will heal you, and this will mean that you won't need to use Soul Split. As for your aura, I'd highly recommend using a Vampirism aura if you have no other methods of healing, or you can use a Supreme Brawler aura for that accuracy bonus. So this is the action bar that I recommend using. You have 5 basic abilities, 2 thresholds, and 1 ultimate ability. It's important to note that if you have no method of healing, add Sacrifice as your first ability, and then you will be able to heal just fine. So with this action bar, you basically want to be using your thresholds whenever they're up, and if you ever do manage to hit 100% adrenaline and both your thresholds are down, just use your ultimate ability and that will do a lot of damage to everyone around you. So that's it for melee. Now moving on to the ranged method. These are the armors that I highly recommend wearing, and those are the Royal D'hide, Armadil, and Anima Core of Zamorak. I've chose these 3 because they don't degrade, and ranged is a lot more expensive than the other 2 methods, so buying armor that degrades will just make this method a lot more expensive for you. So these are the weapons that you need to be using. You need Grey or Red Chinchompers, and you also need one of the following: Offhand Armadil Crossbow, Offhand Chaotic Crossbow, and the Offhand Ascension Crossbow. You will be using around 600 Chinchompers per hour, so if you're using the red ones it should cost you around 1.2 mil an hour. So basically you're just paying for the AFK-ness, because you can probably get the same XP but for free at Water Fiends, so it's up to you if you really want to train ranged here. The inventory stays the same, just make sure you're bringing the best range boost that you can, and once again the gear pretty much remains the same as well. As you can see, I've got my Armadil stuff on. Swap my Steadfast boots out for Glaven boots, so just wear the best boots that you can wear, and the same goes for the ring and gloves. Remember to bring your Charming Imp if you have one, and as I mentioned before, you can use a Vampirism aura, or if you want more accuracy you can use that Supreme Sharpshooter aura. This is the action bar that I recommend. As you can see, we have 5 basic abilities, 1 threshold, and 1 ultimate ability. You want to be using your threshold and ultimate ability whenever you can, and this should maximize your damage output. Moving on to the last combat method. This is magic, and these are the armors that I recommend wearing. We have Ganodermic, Robes of Subjugation, and Anima Core of Seren. I personally prefer using Robes of Subjugation because it doesn't degrade and it is fairly cheap, and it also gives you the defense and magic bonuses that you need at the Abyss. Here are the weapons that I recommend taking. You can either take a Staff of Light, Chaotic Staff, Staff of Darkness, or a Noxious Staff. Obviously, as I mentioned before, the better weapon you use, the more damage you do, therefore the more XP per hour you will get. The inventory and gear pretty much remain the same. Once again, use the best magic stat booster that you can. As you can see, I have my Robes of Subjugation on. Remember to wear the best cape, gloves, boots, and ring that you can. Bring that Charming Imp if you have one. And as for your aura, once again you can use the Vampirism aura, or you can use the Supreme Runic Accuracy aura to increase the accuracy of your spells. This is the action bar and spells that you should be using. You should be on the Ancient Magic spellbook, so to access this spellbook you should have completed the Desert Treasure quest. If you don't have access to this spellbook, then training here will not be efficient for you, but if you have, the 2 spells that you want to be using are Bloodburst and Blood Barrage. Basically you just want to be using the best one depending on what your magic level is. So if you've unlocked Blood Barrage, feel free to use that one instead of the lower level one, which is Bloodburst. As for your action bar, you have 5 basic abilities, 1 threshold, and 1 ultimate ability. Basically you just want to be using your threshold and ultimate ability whenever you can, and you should have no trouble doing AoE damage anyway, because your basic spells should do AoE damage for you, and your spells also heal you for a percentage of the damage that you deal. So this is how to get there. From the Edgefield Bank, just run north to this location. There should be a Mage of Zamorak there. And if this is your first time going to the Abyss, you're going to have to complete a small mini quest. The mini quest only takes a couple of minutes, so you should be fine. I can't show you myself how to do the mini quest since I've already completed it, but I'll leave a link in the description to a guide that I found, and I'll also put an annotation on the screen now. So just use that if you still have to complete the mini quest. Once you get to the Mage of Zamorak, just right click him and press teleport, and he will teleport you to the Abyss. Once you get in the Abyss, run to the very south side, and just stand in the place where I am showing you now. In this spot you should be able to world hop if there are people at the Abyss in your world already, and every time you hop world you want to check if these two spots are open. These are the two best spots to kill the Abyss monsters. And also please bear in mind that these two spots will be full a lot of the time on each world. The Abyss is used by a lot of people, so worlds do tend to be full a lot of the time, so it could take you a lot of time to find a free world. But once you do find a free world, go to the areas I designated on the map earlier, make sure your auto retaliate is on, and just basically enjoy AFKing. Also, after around 10 minutes, the Abyss won't attack you anymore. In order to get them aggressive again, just run north and then run directly south again, and doing this should simply make them aggressive again. You could get up to around 600k total XP an hour here, so as you can tell this is why people actually come here, especially since it's AFK as well. So that is it for this video. As you can tell, the Abyss is pretty simple once you get used to it. Also, if there are any guides that you want me to make, please leave a comment and tell me. But anyways, thanks for watching, subscribe if you're new, and peace!